In a kingdom far away, ruled by the mighty King Aaron, the people knew nothing but luxury. But within the opulent palace walls, a deep sorrow had taken root. The king's only son, Prince Darren, was gravely ill. For weeks, the young boy lay motionless, his life fading like a candle in the wind. Every healer, every magician, every renowned doctor from distant lands was summoned. The king offered mountains of gold, built temples, and sponsored endless prayers, but nothing could break the grip of the mysterious illness. The once proud king became a mere shadow of his former self, consumed by grief and despair. He stopped wearing his crown. His days were spent walking the palace halls alone, haunted by a heavy guilt. "Perhaps the gods are punishing me for my pride," he'd whisper to the stars at night. "Perhaps I have forgotten what truly matters in this life." One morning, driven by a desperate need for something he couldn't name, he disguised himself as a common traveler and slipped out of the palace gates, unaccompanied by any guards. He walked until he reached the poor quarter of his own city, a place he had never bothered to visit before. It was a world away from his golden cage, filled with the struggles of everyday life. There, on the dusty steps of an old, forgotten temple, he saw a blind beggar. The man's clothes were tattered. His hands trembled with age, but his face held a profound peace that the king had never seen, not even in his own reflection. The beggar was sitting next to a stray dog, carefully breaking off pieces of hard bread from his small bowl and feeding the grateful animal. The king approached him, his voice soft with a mix of curiosity and awe. "Old man," he said, "you have nothing, no sight, no wealth, not even a comfortable place to rest. And yet, you smile. Why?" The scene was so simple, yet so powerful, it stopped the king in his tracks. The beggar chuckled, a sound as gentle as a summer breeze. "Because, my king," he replied, his words hitting Aaron with the force of a revelation. The king was stunned. He hadn't revealed his identity. When a man gives even a simple crumb of love, he receives a peace that is far greater than gold. The king froze, his heart pounding in his chest. You know who I am," he stammered, his disguise suddenly feeling paper-thin. The beggar simply nodded, his sightless eyes seeming to look right through the king's Travala's cloak and into his very soul. "I may be blind, but I see the great sadness you carry," the beggar continued. "You did not come to the city seeking answers. You came seeking hope." He reached into a small pocket in his worn-out tunic and pulled out a small, unassuming clay bead, tied with a simple red thread. "Take this," he said, holding it out. "It holds no magic, no special power. It holds only faith. Place it under your son's pillow, and let your heart be still." The king stared at the tiny object, a part of him screaming that this was foolish. But another, more desperate part, was willing to try anything. "You ask for nothing in return?" the king asked, his voice filled with disbelief. The beggar's peaceful smile returned. "Hope," he said wisely, "should never be sold." That night, back in the silence of the palace, the king gently placed the small clay bead beneath his son's pillow. He did it not out of any real belief, but out of sheer gut-wrenching desperation. He had tried everything else. What was one more act of folly? He sat by his son's bedside all through the long, dark night, watching, waiting, praying without words. And then, as the first light of dawn began to paint the sky, something extraordinary happened. A miracle unfolded before his very eyes. As the first golden rays of the morning sun touched the prince's pale face, he stirred. A faint flush of color returned to his cheeks. His breathing, once so shallow, became deep and steady. He slowly opened his eyes, and they were clear and bright. He looked at his father and whispered, "Father, I dreamed of a man with no eyes who saw everything. He told me to live." Tears of relief and gratitude streamed down the king's face. He fell to his knees, his body shaken with emotion, whispering over and over, "Thank you, ... whoever you are, thank you." His son was back. The very next day, the king, filled with a joy he hadn't felt in years, rushed back to the old temple to find the beggar and thank him, to shower him with riches. But the man was gone. Only his empty bowl and the loyal stray dog remained, sitting quietly beside the steps where the beggar had sat. He had passed away peacefully in his sleep that very night, his final act of kindness complete. In the bottom of the beggar's bowl, the king found a small, crumpled piece of parchment. Written in shaky, fading script were the words that would change his life forever. The note read, "When you have everything, share something. That is how the heart stays alive." The king held the note, the simple words echoing the profound truth he had learned. In honor of the blind man who had taught him to see, the king built a great home right beside the temple. He named it the House of Hope, a place where food, shelter, and comfort were freely given to anyone in need, no questions asked. And every single morning, the king himself would go there to feed the same stray dog, smiling softly as he remembered the beggar's lesson. Years passed, and King Aaron became known not for his power or his wealth, but for his immense kindness and compassion. When people would ask him why he ruled with such a gentle heart, he would always give the same reply. He would look towards the House of Hope and say, "Because once, a blind beggar showed me how to truly see." This story reminds us that true miracles don't come from magic or money, but from the simple, profound power of compassion. Even a beggar can heal a king when a heart gives freely, without ever expecting anything in return. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a like, and consider subscribing to our channel for more stories that inspire and uplift. We'll see you in the next one.